Hello everyone, greetings of the day. Today we are going to look at budgetary control. In the previous video, we got introduced to budgets. What are budgets? Why budgets? The objectives of budgets, types of budgets. We're going to recap a little, of course. So my name is Dr. Sameer Divanji. I'm at AISSMS College of Hotel Management, Pune. And we started with the same quote, and I'm going to continue this for the couple of videos that we're going to do on budgeting, because budgeting is all about estimating for the coming financial year. It's done at the beginning of the financial year, before the beginning of the financial year. In hotels, typically, for the financial year starting 1st April, we started our budgeting activities in January. February, there were meetings and budget meetings, and by March, we froze the budget for the coming year. Future is where you're going to spend the rest of your life. Isn't that interesting? So as I said, we are going to recap budget and types of budgets quickly. We're going to get introduced to budgetary control and then objectives. So a budget is a detailed estimated plan of operations for a specific future period, right? In our case, it's always the financial year, 1st April to 31st March. So it's a detailed estimated plan of operations. In simple terms, budget is the money that is available to a person or an organization and a plan of how it will be spent over a period of time. All right, we all have budgets, yeah? Your house runs on a budget. You have a pocket money, that's your budget. All right, types of budgets, let's quickly run through them. We've seen this in detail last time. Capital expenditure budget, you must know your capex and your opex. All right, these terms now, start using them. Capital expenditure budget is capex, operating budget is opex. So every department has capex and opex. If I need to order new machine or a new vacuum cleaner or a buffing of a machine, that goes under my capex, capital expenditure. Operating budget is the little expenses, day-to-day operations that are required for day-to-day operations. All right, then we have fixed budgets, flexible budgets. These are budgets that change according to the activity. All right, but fixed do not change whether the occupancy is this or this. Master budget is really a culmination of all departmental budgets. It's also known as a summary budget, as you know. Sales budget, as the term says, sales department makes it for their the sales that they predict or project or they have to achieve. Administrative overhead budget, of course, the number of employees that are there. So of course, the number, their salaries, all the overheads that happen for back office or admin work. Cash budget talks about the cash flow available. Now let's come to budgetary control. So budgetary control, actually, any process that you have in the hotel or an organization, it has to have a control mechanism, a check mechanism, an audit. You can't just have a process and leave it to it, right? So budgetary control is, as the term says, budget. You have your budgets and then you have a control. So you are constantly comparing your actual performance with what you've predicted, budgeted, or promised. All right. In front office, for instance, if you have planned 80 rooms a day, you have to constantly look, okay, 1st April we did 72, so 8 short of the budgeted. 2nd April we did 94, so 14 above budget. So you have to check that your month closes on a positive note, budgeted or above, for example. In housekeeping also similarly, it could also be for the costs. You had budgeted for so many people, so you have so many people in the department, or you had budgeted for room cost of supplies, this much, and it's exactly within that figure, not exceeding it. Because the moment it starts exceeding, you have to ensure that you're cutting some other costs without cutting corners. Yeah. And you have to ensure that you're within the budget. So what do I mean by that? So if my supplies costs is going up, I can't cut corners and give lesser supplies, because I have to follow my brand standards. If a room has a shampoo, a conditioner, a hand wash, face wash, it has to be there. All right. Or if a suite has many more things, it has to be there. But you have to figure out a way in which you can control it better, or bring down the cost, and see where you can cut expenses without really cutting corners. So let's look at budgetary control is defined as the establishment of budgets relating to the responsibilities of the executives to the requirement of a policy. So I know it sounds complicated, but it's important to know that it's a continuous comparison with the actual and budgeted results. So actual results against the budgeted ones, either to secure by individual action the objective of the policy, or to provide a basis for revision. If you don't know where you stand, how will you make changes or revise? And we don't want shocks or surprises at the end of the year, right? Or at the end of 6 months. So budgetary control pretty much is an ongoing thing, and you must have it at the tip of your tongue almost every day. My favorite question in the hotel, wherever I went, whichever department, is, so how much is your budget? How much money do you have to make today? All right. Everybody has a pulse on the expenses, and the finance department makes sure you know that. But we are talking about also this aspect of the budget where you have to make uh, so much revenue. Yeah. Budgetary control has now become an essential tool of the management for controlling costs and maximizing profits. You have to know that, it's a management tool, it's a great measure, it's an audit, it's something that brings you back on track. So it's great for controlling costs and maximizing profits, because you may be doing well, but if your costs are also going high, then it eats into your profits. So it's very important to have a pulse of the figures that you're making. A restaurant may be doing exceedingly well, for instance, but if the food cost is very high because of the wastage, or because of improper storage, or because of haphazard ordering, then obviously it shows lack of controls, lack of processes or procedures followed, and it eats into your profits because your food cost is high. What is the use of making so much revenue if it's going to eat into your profit? Are you getting it? So this is budgetary control. All right, you control costs for maximizing profits, and it's a great management tool as an audit, as a control procedure. Budgetary control involves establishment of budgets. Obviously, you first have the budget, make the budget, continuous comparison. This is the single most important line in this video. Comparison of actual results with the budgeted ones to attain the objective. So you have to constantly keep checking. Whenever you set to achieve something, aren't you doing the same? You constantly check, right? So if you're running a marathon, or if you're just going for a walk, nowadays you have the Fitbits and the gadgets that tell you. You constantly check. I had to do, say, 5 kilometers walk in 1 hour. Yeah. So you have to constantly check after 10 minutes or 15 minutes and see how you're doing. All right. You can't realize after half an hour that, oh, you've covered only 1 hour, 1 kilometer. Right. Ascertaining the responsibility for failure in the achievement of budgeted targets. All right. You know exactly, because you have a control process in place. All right. And revision of budgets. So you revise the budgets, or always you revise the plans in case you are going astray. All right. Some things may just come up, a change in the environment. We don't know. Corona for instance, is a huge setback. Of course, it's unprecedented, but even small things may happen. A policy may change. There could be a terror attack. It's not small, but I'm saying on a smaller scale. Or Europe, some countries were covered with smog suddenly, a natural calamity, or it could be an earthquake, or there could just be a pandemic as we are experiencing. So we don't know what happens. Objectives of budgetary control: to give a practical expression to the aims and objectives of the business. So all budgets are linked to the big picture. Why did we start this business? Of course, it is for profits, but there are also other things that you have to keep in mind. All right. So you also have to achieve that objective. All right. It also means, it may not be in figures, but it also means that your guest satisfaction scores, you aim at 90%. That's your aim or objective also. All right. So it's not just revenues, not just monies, but it's also getting a great staff score, employee score. There are employee audits also, right? So getting an excellent staff satisfaction score and guest satisfaction score. So both your internal and external customers are happy. To provide a detailed plan of the accommodations operation with respect to a particular period. You know exactly at a glance how the next year is going to pan out or look for your team, for your department, accommodations team, front office and housekeeping. You know exactly how many rooms you're going to take for renovation or redecoration, or you know exactly this is the kind of revenue you expect, these are the number of rooms you expect, this is the target clientele you expect. Your market segment is divided into, you have so much percentage of foreigners, you have so many percentage of, you know, Indian guests or tourists. All that detailed roadmap is there to ensure better cooperation of various departments and sub departments. If you don't cooperate with each other, you obviously cannot meet your budgets. We need each other's help. It could be for upselling, it could be for projecting revenues and preparing accordingly, it could be planning your staffing or recruitment also. Every employee makes a difference. If you know you're going through the next 3 months of lean period, you may be short by 2 employees, but you may not recruit them in the next 2 months. You will wait. You'll say, anyway, the occupancies are low, the budgeted or projected occupancies are low. Let me just hang around. You know, these 2 recruits that I have to take, let me defer it by 3 months. 3 months salary of 2 employees in the accommodation department is again a sizable amount. To set benchmarks or standards against which the managerial performance is to be measured. We can't just say we are doing good, right? What are you doing good? So it has to be absolutely measurable. That's important. All right. So you have to have standards. So every individual has like KRA, key result areas, or every department has their own budgets in sync with the organizational objectives. To ensure an economical use of the resources of the business. As I said, you may do very well, you're doing so much hard work, so much effort is being put in, and you're doing well, but you're not using your resources to the full. And that's what's eating into your bottom line. And finally, budgeting serves to clarify, measure efficiency, and provide definite plans to all concerned. So it's a roadmap. You know, you're not groping in the dark. You know, you exactly have a roadmap and you know you have to achieve that. All right. So this is what budgets and budgetary control is all about. In the description below, you'll see a quiz. We've had references from Raghubalan and I've taken a lot from my industry experience as well, and Sudhir Andrews as well. All right. So I hope you understood this concept well, and I'll see you in the next video, which talks about the advantages and disadvantages of budgets or budgetary control. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your attention. And thank you